to be looking at hot plugging local volume mounts. So that's a mouthful. What all does that actually mean? Well, let's take a look at this little program. So this simple little program, all it does is loop through looking at proc mounts, which is a pseudo file system. We have very little proc and very little dev, by the way. We have just enough to where most programs won't freak if they don't have it. But anyways, it looks at it, sees what's mounted, prints it out, waits a couple seconds, and then repeats. And I have this, here for a minute basically, just so you can kind of see what's happening. Let's just go ahead and run it normally. So I'll just do my Goose Linux, go build, and we'll just run it as is. As you can see, all we have is root, right? And it's just gonna say root, 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 root. Okay. But if we want to attach a volume, what we want to do is, basically, I'll show you the config. We have some options here. So typically what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, we want to mount this volume named Bob and this volume named Tim. We're going to mount that /Bob and /Tim. Okay. And so you can create new volumes locally just by doing like an ops volume. We got Bob and Tim and how about Tom, right? So it goes ahead and creates a volume here. Next, what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and create the image. And so we're just going to pass it our config, and we're going to say vol for volume, right? Now, in this image that we're creating, we're explicitly telling the image that it's going to expect some mounts at some point. They don't necessarily have to be there at startup, which is the whole hot plugging idea. But they do need to be expected. So on Linux, like the equivalent of this on Linux would be information in etc fstab, right? So we create our volume. Okay, now we can actually run this thing. And I have another config just to kind of show you, because earlier, if you had passed the mount file through config.json, it would already mount the system, mount these volumes on your system, but then you won't be able to attach and detach on the fly. And so what we're doing with this no mount is we're saying, hey, in our run config, when we run this instance, we want to make sure that QMP is enabled. And so that's the QEMU monitor protocol. Basically, this just allows us to tell QEMU what we want to do at runtime. So we're going to go ahead and create a instance using this, and we'll do -c no mount JSON, and then we'll do volume, right? And so now we can kind of see that the instance is running. What we're going to do, in fact, I'll pop up another window here, just so you can kind of see what is going on. All right, so you can see it's doing the same thing. Now we're going to do a volume attach, and we're going to give it the ID, and we're going to say, hey, mount Bob. And if we go back here, you can now see that Bob is getting mounted, right? Now we can go ahead and do, what was that other one, Tim? So we'll do Tim. And if we go back, and now you can see that Tim is mounted, right? So now let's go ahead and detach it just to kind of see what's going on. So now we're going to detach Tim, and now we're going to detach Bob. And then we go back to our logs, and you can kind of see Tim went away, and then Bob went away. And now the only system we have is root. And so that's simple attaching and detaching, also known as hot plugging volumes on the fly locally. Now, one thing that you should know is that we've had this hot plugging support on Google and Amazon and Azure for quite a while. But we decided to go ahead and plug it in locally as well, just to make that local experience a little bit nicer. All right, so till next time, we'll catch you later. Bye.